Adam Zimmerman. Adam is the grandson of Holocaust survivors. Adam, thanks for being here. As we mentioned, we're hearing a lot of defenders of Elon Musk. So we want to get to your perspective as somebody who is not so quick to brush aside what we saw on Monday. What was your reaction when we saw Musk on that high-profile event at Capital One Arena making those gestures?
Thanks, Andrew. I thought it was appalling. My grandparents were Holocaust survivors. I owe my life to them. My brothers do as well. The fact that they survived when their parents, most of their siblings, and many members of their extended families were all killed by the Nazis is just an incredible testament to their courageousness, bravery, spirit of humanity that led them out of that atrocity and restarting a life so that I and others could live. So when I saw Musk, who has a history of being in cahoots with neo-Nazi sympathizers and giving them free rein on his social media platform, when I saw him do those salutes, to me it was immediate. I know what a Nazi salute looks like. That salute has been one of the driving forces in my family's history. To me, there's no question he knew exactly what he was doing. It was incredibly painful in the moment, and it remains so now.
And of course, Musk has called the criticism of those gestures and allegations that he subscribes to Nazism as, quote, tired. It seems a little bit short of a full-throated denial you'd expect from somebody who may have been accused of having these attitudes. But I want to show you something he posted on his X account this morning where he used a couple Nazi puns, like using Himmler's name and ending the post with, quote, "Bet you did not see that coming." What is, of course, your reaction to this in light of what we were just talking about that happened on Monday?
As far as I'm concerned, he's dancing on my grandparents' grave. Whether you think he did the Nazi salute or not, what Musk can do in this moment is speak out and denounce Nazism, the forces today that still support it. He can redouble efforts that have been non-existent but should be existent to remove the heavy doses of anti-Semitic hatred and vitriol that infect his social media platform every day. He can use his megaphone, his leverage, to speak out forcefully against that rise of anti-Semitism that his platform has helped so much to spread. And instead, he's making jokes and coming up with puns and plays on words. To me, he's enjoying his 15 minutes of fame here. He's having a good time, and he just doesn't understand the impact that his words and gestures have on so many people who are still hurting so much from what the Nazis did not that long ago.
And we mentioned that there are a number of prominent groups who either explained, dismissed, or defended those actions on Monday, one of which was the Anti-Defamation League, which is one of the most prominent anti-Semitism organizations in the country. They posted the defense of Musk, saying that it was a, quote, awkward gesture in a moment of enthusiasm, and asked its followers to give Musk a, quote, bit of grace. Now, they were roasted a bit, at least from those who are critics of Elon Musk. And we mentioned Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also coming to Musk's defense. But the ADL especially was a really interesting response because they've been so vocal in defending and speaking out against anti-Semitism. So I'm interested in why you think that they had that reaction and felt it necessary to put out that statement.
So the ADL has a very long history of denouncing Nazis and fighting anti-Semitism wherever it occurs. They've been doing it for the better part of 100 years. The ADL is a tremendous organization that, in my view, has made a tremendous misstep in terms of how they've described what Musk did, particularly given his history and his permissive attitude in terms of letting anti-Semitism spread on his platform. I would encourage everyone to look at what Musk has put out on his feed this morning in terms of the jokes and the puns and the word plays. Abraham Foxman, a longtime head of ADL, has been very clear in his personal view that this was a Nazi salute. I stand with him in this moment. And again, whether you think it was a salute or not, I would encourage everyone to think how they would respond in a moment like this if you had that influence, if you had that bully pulpit to speak out against anti-Semitism, whereas instead Musk has chosen to make a series of jokes and enjoy his moment in the limelight. To me, someone who does that deserves absolutely no benefit of the doubt whatsoever.
And Adam, zooming out a little bit, we are experiencing a heightened environment of anti-Semitism. We are seeing it certainly on college campuses around the country and across the world. What do you think is at the root of what we have seen really over the past year and a half? It's certainly not new, but it seems like it is accelerated recently. And what can be done to combat it?
Andrew, you raised a really important point. The ADL has documented an unparalleled rise in anti-Semitism in the United States since they began tracking incidents some 40 years ago. In the DMV area where I am, DC, Maryland, and Virginia, rates of anti-Semitism are among the highest of any state or territory in the country. So when we look to why that is, why there has been such a spike in recent years, I think one of the many big culprits is people like Elon Musk, who have social media platforms where hundreds of millions of people are seeing the spread of anti-Semitic comments, memes, targets, and threats every day. And when politicians do this, when the richest man in the world does this, when athletes and celebrities do this, it gives people permission from all walks of life to do the same. So when people are using their influence in such horrible ways, the spread of anti-Semitism is almost inevitable. It will never fully disappear, but there's so much we can all do to drive it back underground where it belongs, and instead people like Musk do the exact opposite.
Adam Zimmerman, the grandson of Holocaust survivors, someone who's not so quickly dismissing what we saw out of Elon Musk earlier this week. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.